Stop buying into the promise of AI long-form content tools. Most deliver junk that still needs hours of editing. And the truth is, getting high-quality, human-like content that actually ranks on Google is a massive bottleneck for businesses today. But after building over 150 automations for my clients, as well as generating tons of long-form content, I think I've cracked the code. In this video, I'll show you how I reverse engineered a $1 million SaaS product to build a complete SEO content system that runs on autopilot. It handles the research, adds images and videos, and produces content that looks and feels human. By the end, you'll know how to build an automated system that saves you thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours, generate articles that consistently rank, and learn how to reverse engineer any problem to build your own custom solution. But don't just take my word for it. Let me show you what this system actually creates. So this entire article, from the research it cites to the formatting, as well as the images embedded, the tables, was generated in minutes, is ready to publish and start ranking. Notice the depth is nearly 6,000 words long and how naturally it reads as well, going from category 1 to category 2 and onwards, talking about the strategic design of AI automation in the modern day. So how did we build this? Something that creates such depth, embeds images, videos, statistics, and also reads like a human would write it? Well, let's jump straight into the agent architecture and see how we built this out. So if you want to skip the hard work, go to the link in the description, which is the paid community, and you can go into the classroom in Scrape's AI Academy, go to the resource hub, and go straight down to the marketing section. We've got this SEO full article writing system. It gives you a bit of context around what kind of articles you're going to create, as well as a full step-by-step run through of how to set this up. But you're going to take the workflow JSON, download that, and then when you open it up, it's going to have 5 sub workflows in here that all piece together to take you from just a company URL through to SEO optimized long form content like you saw a moment ago. And the architecture is all set up between n8n and Airtable, so you don't need any complex tools to host it. And in the back end, we use data for SEO to get SEO keywords, and we'll talk through that process as well. So you'll end up with something that looks a little bit like this, where we have the ability to add information about our company that we want to write articles for, our competitors, the style of our blog, including things like branding colors. So you can see that we've got the Automake orange here that's consistent throughout all of the blog images. You'll then have the ability to actually generate all of your keyword research that will take you from an idea through to seed keywords, long tail keywords, and understanding which content you should actually be targeting for your site, through to the point where it even generates all of your subtopic ideas and then writes the long form content about that subtopic idea. So all you need is your website input, and we will completely generate a ready to publish or ready to review long form content that will get scheduled in your diary. Alternatively, I filmed a complete live build video of this from scratch, including all of the mistakes that I went through on the way. And if you're interested in seeing that live build, then comment below so I can get that edited and get that up on YouTube as well. So I'm first going to quickly touch on reverse engineering any problem. Now, by no means am I an SEO expert, but I do understand the fundamentals behind keyword research and writing blog articles that target certain keywords that are high in volume but low in competition. So instead of building something from scratch entirely myself, I decided to look at SaaS products available on the market that are developing and selling really well for SEO ranking content. And I landed upon a few, and one of those was Outrank.so. So Outrank is created by an indie maker, Thibaut. It actually launched early this year, and is now doing over $1 million US annual recurring revenue. And it effectively does exactly what our workflow is going to do today, which is generating AI content. So saving you all the time of manually doing it yourself or hiring somebody else and saving you the cost that humans love to read. So articles that are actually engaging and interesting, which mean when somebody actually clicks on it, when you start ranking, they actually want to stay on the page and they actually want to read the content, and it's cited, it's interesting, It's got embedded images. It's got embedded videos. It's got tables. It's got structure around bullet points, etc., and a clear flow. And it reads naturally as if a human were to write it. So what I decided to do, because I'm no SEO expert, was actually just sign up for Outrank.so, work out exactly what they were doing that everyone loved, and reverse engineer that to create my own processes tailored to my needs inside Airtable and n8n, and save myself the $90 a month cost of Outrank.so, and also make sure that it's tailored to my content and that I can update and change it over time myself. So to give you an example, I quite literally went through the onboarding process of Outrank.so and worked out exactly what the inputs were. So they had some business inputs around business URL. You input your competitors and it scrapes things around what keywords your competitors are ranking for already. We then put some style inputs. So do we want the images to be watercolor? Do we want them to be realistic? What brand color do we want? And then any extra instructions around things we always want to see in our articles. They enable you to generate keywords automatically, and therefore we do too. And then effectively, they give you two outputs. The first is the blog content. So you can click into these individual blogs and see exactly what content was generated for a given long tail keyword, like digital transformation strategies. And the second output is actually just the equivalent of that in a different view, which is the ability to schedule your content on different days and talk about which keyword it's targeting, and then create that content directly from the dashboard there. So it seems relatively straightforward. We took that system, or the idea of that system, the inputs and outputs, and started to map out exactly what that would look like in terms of n8n workflows, and how we could build a very first version that uses a simple interface like Airtable, that's very quick and easy to put together, so that later we can take all this information in V2, build something like a front end that can sit on top of this and actually operate it like a SaaS and sell it like a SaaS too. And like I said, if you want to see the exact step-by-step build out, then let me know below, because I'll release the live build on YouTube so that you can build it step by step yourself as well. And this is what our dashboard will look like when you finish building it. We have a summary page, which gives us access to add certain information like our company info, exactly like we were doing in Outrank, our competitors, and our blog style preferences. And all of those link to different pages that we're easily able to access and modify. And we can do this at scale for multiple companies. It doesn't just have to be for one. So we've got all of the company information. All we need to enter is our website URL, our company LinkedIn, and our company name, our company profile, our product description, our ideal customer profile, our pain points and challenges is automatically generated for us. So I'll do an example here with Zapier. So we'll add the details of their name, URL, and LinkedIn. And what we'll do is we'll hit create. You can see that appears as a new company record. And all we need to do is hit the generate ICP button, which is our ideal customer profile. It's going to start our first workflow in n8n. And in just a second, it's going to come back with all of these details around the pain points and challenges, product description, that are going to eventually feed into our blog articles, because we want to be targeting our blog articles to our customer. And you can see they've come back now completely filled in. So it just goes and scrapes the website. And you can see that that's our first sub workflow. Very, very simple. And we've got all of the inputs and outputs listed here. So we're just using Perplexity to go and do some ICP research on that company and returning it into our database. Now, the second thing we want to do is actually get some seed keywords to rank for the website. So Zapier will be ranking for certain keywords. We want to start creating content around those keywords, but not just those hard to rank for keywords if we're a small business, like AI automation. What we want to do is understand these sub keywords or the long tail keywords underneath those. So terms off of AI automation, like how do I implement AI automation in my business, would be a long tail keyword, or words to those effect. So what we need to do is gather the initial set of keywords, the 10 or so seed keywords, as we call them, and then generate long tail keywords. But before we can do that, we need to add information around our competitors. And we should also add stuff around what style blog we want to generate to. So we're going to add Zapier as a competitor of itself. And that's just so we can generate keywords for Zapier. So we're going to create that. And we can also add others. So we've got this form embedded in here. And on the back end, this is simply just a database inside Airtable. So the interface at the front end, we've just designed and shown certain things at key stages to guide somebody through that process. But you can see it just appears as a normal row inside here with the Get Keywords button. And all of these buttons are linked to a specific webhook URL, which then activates our webhook URLs inside n8n. So we'll just add the blog style information first. So for Zapier, we can add things like the sitemap URL. And what that's going to enable it to do is go and scan their blog already, because we don't want to cannibalize existing content. We want to see what content they are not ranking for, but should be ranking for at the moment. Zapier.com/sitemap.xml will give us all the pages we need to scan through. We'd find the blog URL, and also we can include things like example articles that we like, number of internal links, and global article instructions, which we're just going to leave as write a blog at the moment. And then we're going to choose an image style. Maybe we want a sketch style for this company. So we're going to create that there, and we'll see a list of those style requirements that we just created. So now we've put in all the inputs exactly like we would if we were signing up as a paying member to Outrank.so. We can start to generate some keywords. So we'll go to the generate seed keywords, and we'll go down to Zapier here. And what we're going to do is just hit get keywords. It's going to start processing. So on the front end, we know exactly that something's happening. And then what it's going to do is complete, and it's going to start to load in all of the keywords as it finds them. And it's going to an external service, Data for SEO. And these are a mix of the most relevant keywords that they should be or are already ranking for. So Zapier automation, Zapier app, Zapier free. And it makes sense that they would rank for those, or it makes sense that the seed keywords all relate to Zapier because it's such a huge company that already ranks for a lot of terms already. They should also be ranking for things like AI automation. And then once we've got some seed keywords, we can go to generate our long tail keywords, which are these sub keywords of those. So if we just filter down in our views here, we've got Zapier, and we've got all of those seed keywords that we just saw. So say we wanted to start getting some long tail keywords for automation software, we have the ability in this record view to get keywords again here. If we hit get keywords, we'll see it starts to process. And what it's doing in the back end is actually going down and activating this webhook here. And we're using a series of webhooks to go and call different endpoints from Data for SEO. And Data for SEO calls itself a powerful API stack for data-driven SEO tools. So I would describe it as if you want SEO information, such as search engine rankings, keyword volumes, anything like that, Data for SEO is a really, really cheap and easy way to get all of that data via API, and therefore it's great for n8n, for example. They've got a ton of endpoints, and what we've done here is basically say, based on the seed keywords that we've asked to get long tail keywords from, we're going to go out and grab a bunch of suggestions around those. So we're actually using 4 different endpoints from the API here. We're finding related keywords. So when Google receives a search from somebody, they have a searches related to section. So we're pulling keywords from there. We're pulling suggestions, so phrases that contain the seed keyword, but focus on long tail keyword extension. We're pulling ideas, so keywords in the same product or service categories, but not necessarily using the same words. And we're also fetching autocomplete suggestions. So when you search for something and there's autocomplete suggestions in Google, that's what we're fetching as well. So 4 of those all blended together to give 20 long tail keywords just as a starting point so that we don't have thousands of articles to write that goes back into our Airtable data in the back end. And from those long tail keywords, we can start to understand what topics we'd write about and therefore what articles we need to write. And then comes the magic in writing it. Then we'll generate some more for maybe Zapier AI as well. So we'll get keywords for that. And now that is processing. And what we will see is we will see inside the table, as it starts adding these keywords, we'll see more and more records get added underneath the Zapier company. So we have the company, then the competitor, the seed keyword, and then you can see under Zapier AI, which we've just run, there's multiple terms which they can start ranking for. So it could be Zapier AI agents, and they're probably already ranking for this kind of content anyway. But there's additional ideas for articles that they can start to write to tackle some of these longer tail keywords like Zapier AI Automation Engineer. And we can also see that in our interface view. If we go to Keywords Overview and we open up Zapier here, we'll start to see all of the seed keywords Zapier AI and then also the long tail keywords here. And for each long tail keyword, we can start to generate more subtopics. So if we wanted to actually target this keyword, Zapier AI Automation Engineer, we click Get Subtopics, and we'd have a similar process where this now turns to processing, and it's going to go for data for SEO's endpoint that basically brings back to us topic ideas. So it's going to go out and it's going to bring back 10 topic ideas that are use natural language programming to generate, given the main topic and a set level of creativity. So for that keyword, for example, it's come back with overview of Zapier and its role in automation, the importance of AI in automation engineering, key skills required for a Zapier AI automation engineer, common use cases for Zapier AI integrations. So say we want to do things like key skills required for Zapier AI automation engineer. What we can do is take that subtopic, put it into a selected subtopic, or we can leave this for AI to actually choose if it wants to do it or not. And once we've got a subtopic, we're kind of ready now. We've got all the way from our company URL down to a subtopic that we want to write about that's going to be SEO optimized towards a certain keyword term, which is Zapier AI Automation Engineer. We're at the point where we're ready to generate an article. And only at that point will this show any of the records that are ready to generate an article for. So we can limit what we show our clients, for example, if we're selling this to our clients. We don't have any details here on the competition and volume. Usually we'd have keyword difficulty and stuff that would help our decision on which articles to start generating topics for. But what we're going to do is just starting generate that article for that. And same again, it's going to come back and it's going to hit processing. And we will go to the workflow, and that's going to take maybe 5 to 8 minutes because it's going to be a long form content article. It's hopefully going to have some sort of sketch image consistency there, like we chose in the start. And what we will be able to see is the most comprehensive part of the automation and the most complex part, the bit that took the longest to create, because this is what people struggle with. Even services that are selling this to you will struggle to create consistent long form content that is well researched, has embedded visuals like images, YouTube videos, tables, good formatting, good structure, and also consistently writes actual long form content. I don't know if you've ever tried to give a task to an AI or an LLM and ask it to write 2,000 words, for example. It struggles a lot of the time, unless you're using a really expensive model, it struggles to create that length of content. So what we've done here is derived a method to generate section by section whilst passing the context back in to the LLM so that it understands exactly what's been written so far, what the next section is about, and therefore what information to intertwine so that it naturally flows and reads like a human. The other thing we've done is make this absolutely human readable and beat content detection algorithms. So I put in 1,200 words of an article into a content detection algorithm, 2 of them, and it came up 80 to 90% chance that, or 80 to 90% of it was human written, despite it being written by AI. And that's because we've prompted it in a way that follows natural human linguistic patterns. And we can talk through that so that you know how to generate articles that can consistently rank to. And then afterwards, we'll review the output of that, and it will be in our interface ready to actually then publish. So again, we're receiving the webhook in and we're saying, is it ready to be processed or not? If it's not, then we go back and we say it's not ready. But this also triggers this processing stage. So we want to update the user so they don't need to go into n8n to understand if the automation is working or not. We're pulling together all of our inputs that we've put in at the start. So we've got things like the ideal customer profile. So our articles want to be tailored towards our customer, naturally. We've got the style inputs. So we've got that sketch style and also any inputs we have around article instructions. And then of course we have the seed and long tail keyword inputs. So we've split this down into 3 key sections. The first is a planning agent. And the planning agent is solely responsible and uses Gemini 2.5 Pro, which is excellent reasoning model, solely responsible at outputting sections of a complete article, including semantic keywords to naturally include in the structure, the article structure, the supporting points to say in each paragraph, as well as research questions. And the reason we output research questions and word count for each of those sections is one, the research questions then pass into the next stage, the research agent, so that we can go and get information that's totally relevant to the plan of our article and support the points that we are writing about. The same way in which a writer would plan and write a blog. The research agent outputs a huge amount of research that has all of the citations so that we can rank it back, so we can cite it back to the source, but it also goes out and searches for YouTube videos, so more engaging and relevant content that we might be able to embed in the blog. We split all of that down into sections. And the reason we do that is what I just mentioned. So writing long form content is traditionally very, very difficult if you just pass it in one go. So we split it into sections so that we can loop through every section for the content agent. And inside the content agent, every loop, it's receiving the article that's written so far as context, the article title, the target keyword, the content style, so whether it's informative or listicle, and then we can add others as well. Any keywords that should naturally build in over the whole article. And you can see a whole bunch of other inputs, including word count, etc., so that we know that it's going to be a long form piece of content that hits the research plan or hits the content planner's plan rather. And then product/service context. So always relating it back to Zapier or Automate for natural integration at the end. And then in our system prompt, which is a mega prompt, we are basically building out all of that information to ensure that it takes the context of everything that's passed in, the ideal customer profile, the keywords, the content plan, the research, and the structure of that specific section that it's creating at that time, as well as all of the previous content that's been written. And what we've done is overlaid a huge amount of context around how to write like a human. So if I scroll through this, you can see exactly what we're doing. We're avoiding certain AI common words. So that's a very basic measure to make it sound more human. We're replacing formal transitions with casual ones. So using things like plus instead of moreover. We're avoiding certain qualifiers, significant, various, numerous, that actually get recognized as commonly used AI terms. And we're replacing things with human alternatives, something that we'd colloquially say like lots of or works. We're asking it to vary sentence length naturally. So don't just write consistent sentence length. So one of the things about AI is it likes to write inconsistency. And we're including intentional imperfections in the way that we write sentences, not spelling mistakes, like starting some sentences with and but, and effectively avoiding those consistencies. We have a strong structure for our prompts, which we use all the time inside the community. We have the inputs in here. There are no external tools that are required because it's writing it itself. But we have a section on humanization techniques. So like starting the articles with stories, surprising facts, using I, you, and we naturally, adding thoughts like this one, sparingly, adding thoughts like this one in brackets, sparingly for personality, using specific examples, minor tangents that add color but aren't strictly necessary, and a bunch of other things that we are doing to basically get it to write in a similar way as a human would, but also output high quality, informational, and engaging content. That is the overall goal. You can see this is a 13,000 character prompt. So there's been a lot of deep research that's gone into working out exactly how to make this beat those AI content detection algorithms. And the reason we want to beat those is if it sounds human written, humans want to read it. So it's more engaging. It's more likely to keep people on page for longer. And then we're using a clever trick with global variables inside n8n to basically retrieve the context and update the context for every loop. So for each loop, we can see, so if I bring in a previous example that's run through, for each loop, we can effectively see on the output of this node, we can see the new article content, which is the section that's just been written by the LLM, and the article that's so far been written. So we can see that obviously in the first run, they'll be the same, why the history of automation matters for your business today. But if we scroll down to the bottom here, we should expect it to start getting longer, which it does in the second section, and longer, which it does in the third section, and so on until we get to run 8, which is as long as effectively the entire blog, because we're storing that content inside this get workflow static data global variable, which means it's persistent across all of the loops here, which means each time we bring it back into the content agent to write the next section in the next loop, we have the context of what has already been written, and therefore we're writing an article that naturally flows. We're then naturally interested in embedding engaging imagery. So we actually use an image agent. So we're using an agent here to decide how many images per X number of words that should actually be embedded in the articles to make them a bit more engaging, etc. And we're using a sub workflow that's actually in this workflow as well. And we're using the latest Nano Banana or the Gemini 2.0 Flash image preview, which is awesome, by the way, at creating consistent styles and also adding text to images. And what we're doing is effectively creating that image and bringing it back, or bringing multiple images back to our blog article data. And we're storing one of those as the main bit of data in our blog content field here. So you can see this main image field where we have blog content that's been written. We store one of those images in there, but the rest is actually stored inside here, and they're stored as URLs. So you can see in here that we could embed this anywhere on the internet. So if we're publishing to WordPress or Webflow, we actually have these all embedded and stored already for us. The final piece of the puzzle for that is getting consistent imagery. So when we go through a given blog article, for example, for this article here, we want to make sure actually we have consistent style and consistent color. So we've got the orange color across all these photos. You can see there's a consistent look and feel across all of these. So what we're doing is we're just making sure that in the prompt, we give it some consistency around this is the base prompt for certain styles. So if I scroll down, we've got these 5 different styles. These are the base prompts that you can stick to. Everything else should be decided based on context. So it actually grabs a section of the content and decides what prompt it should pass into this image generation sub workflow. So it's creating an image that's actually tailored to the article as well. And then finally, we're just uploading all of that data back so it's ready to schedule. Now you may remember on Outrank.so, the SaaS that we were trying to emulate here, there were 2 key outputs. The first one was the blog content to go in and review, which you've seen. The second was actually a content schedule, which is easy enough to create in an Airtable interface. And by the way, these Airtable interfaces are super simple to create. And if you want the live demo of how I've done this step by step, I will make sure you let me know below. So we have this scheduled articles in here, which is basically all of the articles that have been created, we can then put to a particular date. So right now, we've got 11 blog articles that have been created, but actually none of them have been scheduled. And we can literally drag and drop these into dates. So if we wanted to schedule one for next week, we put it in there, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, right now, the automation does not have it set up so that it schedules to a specific platform, but we've got the ability to do so through actually dragging and dropping these in here and creating another small sub workflow that takes the dates that they're allocated to be scheduled for, and then actually publishes them to the right profile. That is going to be an expansion of this in the near future. So say, for example, we wanted to look into this content from here, we just go to expand content, and we can see all of the blog content inside there. And inside n8n, inside Airtable rather, we can actually see the richly formatted blog inside here, except we can't see any of the images rendered. So if we want to see any of the images rendered, we would go to markdownlivepreview.dev, which is a free site where we can input our content on the left-hand side and see everything rendered as it would be a blog on the right-hand side. So it's now finished running, and we'll come back in to review it. So I filtered this data table by Zapier, and you can see that we've got it here. Becoming a Zapier AI automation engineer. the essential skill set for next gen automation. So it's taken our concept of a topic and actually turned it into a full blown article. And I was just looking at this image, and it's so good actually. It's got source to destination, and it's like a little hand drawn sketch. I'm very, very impressed here. We've also implemented in here this visualize article button. So what that does, it will just open the markdown live preview.dev page, but you still need to go into the actual record itself and grab the blog content. So we'll grab the blog content and we'll come down and we'll visualize that in markdown now. So we can see immediately it's 2,700 words. If I come back here, we can see in the executions, it took 7 minutes 57 to run that 2,700 words. So imagine how long it would take you to do 2,700 words and have it fully researched. So we can go down here. There's a bit of formatting mistake. Like you can see that this is supposed to be on the next lines. We can tackle those kind of things either in editing or in the prompt. But if we scroll down, we can see lots of different formatting around different keywords, API and webhook automation. Think of an API as a menu at a restaurant. It lists everything you can order and how to order it. Do you know what? I've heard that so many times. So it's clearly gone and got that information from somewhere to make it easy to understand. Now we've got some images loading, and don't forget we put in the sketch format. So we'll see what those sketch images come up as. I'm not sure how many images we've got in the article. There's at least 2, because I can see 2 loading. There's the third one of the light bulb. And this is like a really consistent format. And we also put in the orange of Zapier as well. So this is actually amazing to see. It's kind of blown my mind. It's not properly cited this here. It's put the link, but annoyingly it hasn't quite understood the formatting. But you can see that we've got like multiple skills it's talking about. Integrating generative AI and LLMs, talk about some different automations you can build if you're an automation engineer. It's got loads of different stats, bullet points, different structures, different skills, these great diagrams. And it seems to have gone through a list of multiple skills. And what it seems is I was missing a few skills there, but I see it's just supposed to be on a new line. So if I tap that, it's now on a new line. We've got skill 3, skill 4. And I'm sure we've also got skill 2. Yeah, same thing has happened here. So just a little bit of a formatting issue, but a little bit of editing. Let's see if we've got skill 1. Same's happened with skill 1. So we just need to make sure those are all on new line. But we've got like, okay, these are the 6 skills that you need to learn basically. Skill 1, advanced Zapier platform mastery, deep API and webhook proficiency. It's finally loading our little image there. Integrating generative AI and LLMs. And by the way, with the images, we are uploading them to a source, and then we are also optimizing them. So we're using a service called Resmush to optimize those images. Skill 4 is leveraging Zapier's native AI ready tools. Got a little diagram about a dashboard there. Skill 5 is business process analysis and automation strategy. And skill 6 is robust error handling and data security. So I'm really impressed with the outputs here. And we get that little view inside here, inside the review blog articles, of exactly what that blog is going to look like. And then we can go ahead and actually take that content and publish it. It's all cited, it's informational, it's engaging, it's embedded various things, and it's ready to go. So there we have it. You've seen now how to build out an automated system that saves you thousands of dollars and potentially hundreds of hours in writing your long form content. You can grab that directly if you want the template from the paid school community in the link in the description below, or let me know if you want me to release the live build video. We've shown you how to generate articles that consistently rank using APIs from data for SEO to actually get relevant long tail keywords for your content and write articles about those. And we've also shown you how to reverse engineer any problem by going through the process of working out the inputs and the outputs to build your own custom solutions like these. Let me know if you found it useful. Please give the content a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching.